Hi everybody, it's Elaine from Tanglewood Nature Center and I'm here for our weekly Facebook Live. And so today I'm going to talk about something creepy. I think for some reason I keep talking about animals that people are freaked out by. Last time it was bees. This time it's cockroaches. So everybody knows the lowly cockroach and they have a really bad reputation, but they really shouldn't, because most cockroaches, in fact 99% of cockroaches are not household pests, but the ones I think we're most concerned with are. But there's 4,500 species of cockroaches in the world. That's a lot of cockroaches. In the US, the most common ones are the pest ones, the little German cockroach, those are buggers. And then we also have the little bigger American cockroaches, the brown banded, the oriental cockroach. And so there's 55 species total of cockroaches in the US alone. And cockroaches range in size from really, really big to pretty tiny. The brown banded cockroach, which is in the US, is about a ½ inch in length. But the largest species of cockroach on Earth is found in, big surprise, South America, where everything's big, all the, especially the insects. So in Peru and Ecuador, you can find this cockroach. This is Megablotta. And Megablotta longipennis, and they are about 3.5 inches in length and pretty creepy looking. So I don't think we'd want to run into this one. If you look at the hand, that's a big cockroach. But cockroaches have been around for a really long time. They've been on Earth for 280 million years. And they're very successful. You've probably heard some cockroach facts in your life, and one of them is they can live without their head, which is true. Cockroaches can live a week without their head. I'm not sure how they figured that out. Probably some scientist who had nothing else to do. I know my sister said, ew, cockroaches, they can live a week without their head, Liz. And that's because they actually don't breathe out of their mouth. They breathe out of the sides of their abdomen, which we're going to talk about. So the only reason they die after a week is not because of food, because they can actually live a month without food and a head, but they can only live a week without water. And so cockroaches can also hold their breath for 40 minutes. And that's in underwater, they can hold their breath for 30 minutes. It's crazy to think of. So cockroaches also, fun fact, like alcohol, especially beer, like me. I think they like the hops and the sugar in the beer, which is probably the same things I like too. So let me show you the cockroaches that live at Tanglewood. These are cockroaches we have here on purpose. We have a ton of Madagascar hissing cockroaches, and they definitely creep people out. We get them out for programs and let people touch them. Some people will, some people won't. But here is our beautiful, let me see, Madagascar hissing cockroach. That's a big looking cockroach. Let me see if I can turn him around a little so you can see his full body. There he is. He looks like he's about as big as my head, but in real life, he's about maybe 1.5 inches long. So Madagascar hissing cockroaches are great for programming because they're so big. And we do a lot of insect programming for school groups. And so cockroaches are in the insect group. The insect group is the largest group of animals on Earth, and they're probably the most successful. And they definitely, they outnumber us by humans by a lot. So thankfully, they're not that big. And they have special characteristics like every animal group. They have 3 body parts, the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. They have 6 legs. They have antenna, and some insects are winged. And so the Madagascar hissing cockroaches are not winged, so they can't fly, but they're great crawlers. And cockroaches in general are pretty fast, which I think also creeps us out a little. They can run up to 3 miles an hour, which is kind of fast for an insect. And so our little Madagascar hissing cockroaches are not pests. They actually live on the forest floor in Madagascar. They're unique to Madagascar. And Madagascar is an island off the coast of Africa that has a lot of really interesting species of plants and animals. But these guys live on the forest floor and in rotten logs, and they're decomposers. So they're nature's recyclers. They have a very important job of taking care of the dead stuff. So these guys will be on the forest floor eating decomposing, dying, dead plant and animal matter. They like fruit. At Tanglewood, they eat our old vegetables that we can't feed to the other animals. So they recycle for us too. And so this particular cockroach is a male. And I can tell he's a male because he has these little bumps on the back of his head, and they're called pronotal horns. And I'm gonna get out a female so you can see the difference. So you can see his little horns right there. And my female cockroach, she is faster. Ooh. And she does not have horns on the back of her head. She's got smooth back of her head. And male cockroaches, you can't really tell here, but they have fuzzy antenna, kind of hairy antenna, and the female antenna are smoother. You can see that. It looks a little less thick than the male's antenna. And so the males have these horns for a reason. Now, male cockroaches tend to be aggressive. They're the fighters, and they actually use their horns to fight other male cockroaches, kind of like deer use their antlers. Important fact I haven't mentioned yet is they're called hissing cockroaches for a reason. They actually make a sound out of the sides of their abdomen. They have little holes on the sides of their abdomen called spiracles, and they breathe through those holes. So again, that's why they can live without their head. They breathe through their abdomen, but also they make the hissing sound that they're famous for out of those spiracles. And the hissing sound has, depending on if you're a male or female, it has some different reasons for the hissing. So the males hiss because they're aggressive toward other males, and they also hiss when they're during courtship with the females. Whoop, almost lost him, caught him. And so the males hiss when they're fighting other males and when they're doing their courtship with the females, and they also hiss when they're disturbed, which that's the only time the females hiss also, is when they're disturbed. And sometimes we can get our cockroaches to hiss, but not a lot. So I'll try the female again and see if I can get her to hiss. She seems to be a little more, let me see. Come on, lady. Well, of course, if I put her up and squeeze her, she's not gonna hiss, sorry. So there's no hissing going on today because apparently squeezing them is not disturbing them enough. Who knew? But so this is the female again. See, she doesn't have the horns. She doesn't have to fight. But females are kind of cool, female cockroaches actually, because unlike most other insects, females give birth to live young. So the female cockroach she can have up to 750 young in her life. But she creates a cocoon-like egg case. It's called an ootheca. And she carries the eggs inside her body, and then they hatch in her body. And it takes about 60 days for the eggs to hatch out into a nymph. And then she gives birth to nymphs, up to 60 nymphs. And then the nymphs will actually, before they become an adult, they have to go through 6 molts. So because cockroaches are insects, they're covered with an exoskeleton, which is a hard outside skeleton. They don't have bones on the inside of their body like we do. And the hard outside skeleton, as they grow, they molt the outside skeleton off. And then as they're bigger, I'm sorry, I dropped one. So let me just get that real quick. It wouldn't be Facebook with Elaine without something weird happening. So, rogue cockroach. Got it back. So, the little young cockroaches, when they're nymphs, they molt 6 times. It takes about 7 months for that to happen, and then after 6 molts, they're adult cockroaches. And so I have a nymph. It's not a tiny little nymph because I couldn't find one, although I'm sure they're in there, but it's a little smaller than, here's a little baby hissing cockroach. It's a little smaller than its parents. I don't know if this is its mother, but probably not. So here's the difference in size. Sorry, it's really hard to show cockroaches when they move. So I lost that one again. Whatever. So this one's about 1 inch long, maybe from head to tail. And the parents the grown cockroaches that keep growing are about 1.5 inches to 2 inches long. But they can get to be 2.5 inches long, the Madagascar hissing cockroaches. And they live 2 to 3 years in captivity, which is pretty long for an insect. In nature, we're not sure how long they live. They haven't been studied a lot. So if anybody's looking for a job, maybe you could become an entomologist, which is someone who studies insects, and then you could go study the hissing cockroach in Madagascar. I think that sounds like a good gig. In fact, you probably don't even have to wear your mask out in nature. But if you do, you should probably wear one that looks like my mask, which is the rainforest mask. It's a weird world we're living in. So anyways, here's the little male again with his horns on the back of his head. And it's funny. So the males do most of the hissing. Obviously, they do the fighting, like I said. And males can recognize each other through their sound, the hiss they make. Each Madagascar hissing cockroach has its own sound, like we have our own voices, and they can distinguish each other by this sound. And when the males are fighting and hissing, they actually convey a lot of information through their hissing. They can convey sort of size and strength, and usually in a fight, the winners hiss more than the losers. So if you're ever at a cockroach fight, first of all, what are you doing? But anyways, if you are, listen for the hisses, because the one that hisses the most is probably going to be the winner. That might be something we could do, because people are missing sports. No, we're not going to do cage cockroach fights. That would be terrible. But anyways, and so cockroaches, again, they have a really, really bad reputation. But actually, the Madagascar hissing cockroaches, they are not that creepy. They actually have no body or fecal or poopy odor, which is kind of cool. And people always wonder, can they bite you? No, I don't think I'd have it on my hand if it could bite me, but no, they don't have the mouth parts that can bite people. Not even your dirty cockroaches that are in your house. They have mouth parts that eat, dead and dying material. So anyways, so he's getting pretty close to you. So let me think if there's anything that I missed. I don't think so. I went through all the points that I wanted to. I mean, cockroaches, I probably could talk about cockroaches a lot longer, but there's about 6 of you watching this. Hi, I don't know who they all are. Let me see if I have any questions. Does anybody have any? I know it's Zoe. Hi, Zoe. And my sister, who's like our biggest fan. Hi, Liz. I miss you. And I don't know. Oh, we lost like 2 people. So sorry, peeps. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, actually, I have one more male fact, which is pretty cool. So the males, the fighters, when they're fighting each other and they're hitting each other with their pronotal horns and they're hissing at each other, dominant males also will show off by standing on their toes. It's called stilting. And so they like stand on their tiptoes and show the other dudes, hey, look how cool I am. I don't know. But since cockroaches have been around so long, they must be doing something right. So I guess stilting and hissing and fighting with your horns works. So if there's no questions, I guess I don't have any cockroach questions that I can see. I mean, if you have some, put them in the comments later and I'll go back and check. But otherwise, thanks for being here, and make sure you come and visit Tanglewood. We are open 4 days a week from 9 to 4, Tuesday through Friday. We're closed on Saturdays until further notice. We are hoping to be open on Saturdays in the fall, but we'll see what COVID and the state of New York brings. Stay safe, stay masked, socially distance, be smart, listen to science, and thanks for visiting. See everybody. Let's see, I think next week we don't have a Facebook Live, but then the week after we will be back. All right, bye everybody.